Hello, beautiful Starseed souls. Welcome back to another lesson on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny, and I help Starseed and Lightworkers from all around the world to heal their energy, reconnect with their spirit team, and recognize their earthly mission. In today's lesson, I want to talk about clues from your childhood that you were a starseed. It can be really lighthearted and fun to remember back on your childhood and pick these things out and think, yeah, I did that, or I thought that, or I was weird like that. That's weird. I never really thought of that before. So let's go through just a couple of clues here that you were a starseed all along. I thought of 6 different clues that jumped out to me right away, and I think you'll be able to relate to them as well. Okay, so the first one that I thought of was vivid flashbacks or connections to previous lifetimes. So kids, especially under the age of like 7 or 8, can still remember their past lifetime. Because they're still so fresh in this incarnation, those memories are not dull for them yet. So they can be quite vivid, like reoccurring dreams that continue to come back, or even real memories that the child has that even though they aren't from this lifetime, they are just as valid and just as vivid for them in their minds as if they just happened. There are a lot of different stories around the world of children remembering their past lives in great detail and being able to prove the role that they played in a previous lifetime through remembering where they lived or their previous name, families, etc. Though these kinds of memories are quite common in young children, you're more likely to remember reoccurring dreams. So think back to your childhood. Did you have any reoccurring dreams that continued to come back where you were playing a role other than yourself? Maybe it happened so often that you even mentioned it to your parents or family, probably feeling confused and asking your parents what these dreams were or what they meant. During the summer of grade 1, I had the same reoccurring dream every single day that summer, where I was a young soldier, but I was a boy and I was trapped in the middle of a war and cannons and explosions were going off all around me. And I was trying to find my friends, the other soldiers, so that we could get back together and get to safety. That dream didn't end well because I died a tragic death in that lifetime. And it was trying to resolve itself by playing out through the dreams in this lifetime so that I could find peace with it somehow. But as a young child, that's really difficult to do. So I remember being really traumatized by that, really troubled for that whole summer. However, looking back now as an adult, I can see what was happening and that past life or that aspect of my soul was trying to find closure and kind of clear this heavy energy out and these heavy memories. I also remember being so connected with the idea of being a boy and being very confused about being a girl for the first quite a few years, like 10 years, maybe a little bit more. And I remember telling my mom when I was a little girl that they made a mistake and I was supposed to be a boy. And I think that this all ties in with that lifetime of the soldier that I had right before coming here. Did you have any weird dreams or memories of past lifetimes like this that stood out for you? Any connections to who you used to be? Do you remember ever saying anything to your parents? Because these are all very strong signs that you came into this lifetime with the knowledge of your previous lives and that it was slowly going to open up to you the reason why you chose to come to Earth this time and even memories about planning this lifetime. So it all begins with remembering your past lives. The second clue that I have for you from your childhood today is that you preferred to play alone, often creating imaginary worlds. Rather than wanting to play with other kids or having an easy time bonding and making other friendships, you were more likely to play alone, creating imaginary worlds or getting lost in a book or a movie. Maybe your mom even worried about the fact that you weren't making other friendships easily, but it just didn't come naturally to you. Which brings me to clue number 3, is that you had invisible friends. Invisible or imaginary friends that were very real for you, that you would often chat with and hang out with and play with as if they were there. This maybe even went on a little bit longer than what's deemed normal nowadays for a child with their imaginary friend, but this was a connection that was very strong for you. And likely this was your spirit guide or star guide helping you ease into this lifetime and keeping you company during those tender young years. I have a bit of a funny story for you about this clue. My mom told me that when I was in about grade 3, in the middle of the night, I decided to get up, came downstairs from where my bedroom was, and I was sitting on the couch in the dark, chatting away to someone. She said I was having a full-blown conversation with this invisible person, laughing and talking and carrying on in the middle of the night in a dark living room. So needless to say, she was a little bit freaked out by this, and I continued to do eerie, strange things. So very memorable childhood for her and me. But she just asked me, "Jenny, what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm talking with my friends, Mom." And she said, "Time for bed." And she probably checked on me a few more times. Speaking of dream time, clue number 4 is that you traveled during your dream time and you would remember these experiences the next morning when you woke up. When we are sleeping and our subconscious and our ego and all of our walls come down, our soul is then free to go on journeys and travels through the astral planes. It'll often be remembered by you as dreams where you're flying. So again, I remember as a kid, a weird kid, flying in one of my dreams. I flew from my bed, out the window, all the way to my school of all places. And I remember flying around the bathroom looking over top of the stalls. And when I woke up the next day, I just remembered how real it was. And whenever people would talk about flying, I would always think silently in my mind, I can do that. Like, that's no problem. I can fly. I fly every night. Did you have a lot of flying dreams as a kid? Do you still have flying dreams? They're more than just dreams. And the 5th childhood clue that you were a starseed is that you saw through the veil. So just as when we talked about children having an easier time remembering their past lives, often children can also have an easier time seeing through the veil, the dimensional veil that separates our physical reality from the spirit world. So you likely remember at least one vivid experience where you saw either a spirit, an angel, a ghost, something that stayed with you. I remember always seeing things out of my peripheral vision, out of the corner of my eye as a kid, and looking and being like, what was that? But it was definitely there. I also had an experience during a trip with my mom. We had to travel for an unfortunate reason. Her brother had passed away, and we were staying at my grandmother's house for the funeral. That night, my mom and I slept in the same room, but in 2 separate beds, 2 twin beds that were just beside each other down in the basement. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night because of a bright light. And when I sat up in my bed, there was a bright white angel standing at the bottom of her bed, standing at the foot of her bed, clear as can be, gazing down at her. And I had a feeling of love, and I had a feeling that it was my uncle coming to visit my mother and say goodbye. But I also remember being a little bit scared of the whole thing because it was just a very powerful vibrational energy. So I pulled the covers up over my head and tried to go back to sleep. And the next morning when I told my mom, I don't think she believed me, or at least she didn't really know what to think. But even now today, I can remember that vision so clearly. It absolutely was an angel in a white robe, wings, the whole deal, glowing like this bright white light. And to this day, that is still the most vivid vision I have ever had. And most times now, if I'm seeing an angel or a spirit guide, it's just a little orb of light, or it's in my mind's eye, but not actually in this room or realm with me. But at that point, it was. Kids, man, they are powerful, powerful spiritual beings. And so are cats. I think cats see a lot more than we know. And the last clue, clue number 6, is kind of a weird one. As if these weren't all weird, but this one is kind of a bit of a weird one. It's more about a theme. So your family would have had a theme that was very religious in an oppressive way. So a strong religious theme that tried to oppress your individuality, so to snuff it out. So whether that be saying that women aren't as powerful or important as men, or it not being okay for you to be gay or yourself in any way, even down to things like dressing like an individual or wanting to plan your own future and live your own life according to your own passion. All of that was blanketed in this religious, oppressive vibe where you did not feel in control of your own life or free to express yourself as a creative being. And why do you think that we would choose to have childhoods with such a strong religious theme? I believe that it's due to the contrast to help us awaken even faster. If we didn't have that strong contrast to show us what we did not want and what was not okay and what was not true for us, then we wouldn't know what was true for us. Sometimes you have to see what you are not and what doesn't work for you before you can see how beautiful it is to be your own free spirit, your own creative force. It was like a rite of passage to break free of that and finally tell your family that that was not for you and that was not how you were going to live your life. And so that took a lot of courage and a lot of self-understanding. Like you really had to know who you were, to know yourself, and to want to honor that, to honor your soul, your passions, and go in that direction. So it was probably one of your first big battles where you had to let go of a program and go your own way. So very symbolic for the rest of your life as a starseed, with the whole third dimension being a program. Well, that's all I have for you today. Did any of these 6 clues from childhood strike a chord with you? Please comment below with your personal experiences so that we can all share these together. You can also come and check me out on Instagram for more daily content with a more personal vibe. And I also want to remind you of a meditation activation that I created for your soul star chakra, your highest chakra above your crown that connects you with your higher self and your spirit team. So it's completely free and it gets sent right to your inbox. I'm going to leave that activation for your soul star chakra in the description box below for you as well. But before we say goodbye today, I really want to remind you to listen to your heart, that quiet voice within, because you are so much more than the body you are in. Bye.